I wanted to say congratulations to you guys. We were at South by Southwest, so we talked to you there, and yeah, just congrats on the screening.
Thanks so much. Yeah,
Thank you.
that was completely overwhelming, that screening. We're still sort of recovering from it, really.
The festival as a whole is a lot, but I can only imagine what you guys were going through. So I watched the movie last night, and guys, it's fucking sad. Like, it's a really sad movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going through a lot in your personal life at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there are sadder films. I don't think it's one of the all-time sad films. But there are sad bits. There are definitely sad bits. Yeah.
For sure. Sure. Now, I want to go back a little bit. You both got your start at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Thinking a little bit in terms of comedy, it's kind of crazy that you guys started there and now you're here. Like, the movie does blend comedy and drama very nicely. Do you have any thoughts on that? Anything to say about that?
I think it's like in our country, it's kind of a road that you can travel. You can. A lot of people get their start in Edinburgh, and I feel like, I feel quite lucky in a way now that the sort of dust has settled and those sort of first 10 years of struggle are sort of a little bit behind us. We both built slowly, I think, and worked out how to write. And one thing that a lack of success combined with going to Edinburgh every year does is it allows you to sort of learn how to do it. And me and Tom found ourselves in a sketch group in the early 2000s. And I think we really did. I mean, it's like pretty old school stuff, but I think we did get the old 10,000 hours out of the way. We wrote a lot of very small sketches and probably gave us absolutely no insight or expertise in writing a movie, but definitely we worked out how to write characters and to write for ourselves and also write dialogue. And so we kind of had, and then we could perform it. You can't guarantee you'll be cast in something or you'll be able to make a movie. You can guarantee that you can go to Edinburgh, rent a room with 50 seats in it and perform there 28 nights in a row. So it was a great place for us to basically start to learn how to do it.
And on top of that, to see what worked and what didn't. I mean, there's something about performing in front of an audience that is pretty brutal. But as a learning curve, there's nothing like it, because you often have an idea for a joke and you can think it's really funny, and then you show it to an audience and they quickly tell you that it's not. And similarly, there can be things that you're like, well, that won't work, and it really does. And there's something about doing those shows and writing a lot and putting it in front of an audience that you do quickly. You just ingest it. It becomes a bit more unconscious and a bit more intuitive, just how you can kind of make the best out of an idea.
Yeah. Now, one of the overarching themes of the film is lost love, and I think that's where some of the sadness is coming from. But I wanted to ask you personally, do either of you have, that one that got away?
I mean, I've effectively stalked who is now my wife for a while. So I think my wife was the one that got away for a long time, and then I managed to kind of just wear her down.
Yeah,
I think around about the same time as we were writing the short version of this movie, I think he was preoccupied with putting together mixtapes and things like that. It was a tragic little period.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixtapes and yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Okay, so the idea of winning the lottery. Some films have done it in the past, and I'm sure films will continue to play with this idea. Tim's character hits the lottery twice, and what I kind of love about this is that you don't really you touch on it and then we kind of move on in the film. It's not this glamorous thing. It's not, it's almost the opposite. In that light, what's the most plain kind of vanilla, nonchalant thing you would buy if you ever hit the lottery?
Well, I've got to say, this is not very glamorous, but I've got a little outdoor space in my flat, and I'd redo the floor.
Would you?
Yeah. Can you outplane that, Basmos?
Well, I would buy a really, really old olive tree because the old ones are so expensive, and they look fantastic. And if you just buy a basic olive tree, it's going to be really young and the trunk's really thin and it's just kind of crap. But if you get a really old one, the trunk's it's absolutely enormous. It's like sort of it's like the Rock's legs or something, and then you've just got this gnarled olive. But they're thousands and thousands of pounds, these things. Anyway,
but also, how do you feel about the fact that halfway through that anecdote, someone left the Zoom?
Yep. I think that proves how plain it is.
Yeah, that was really plain.
Yeah.
But no, I do love that you tell Tom's character, you're like, look, this is what happened. And then we really don't revisit it again. And I think that's really interesting about the lottery, about the second lottery.
Well, I'll tell you what that is about is we made a short film of this 18 years ago. And I think it's an interesting moment that you pick up on, because I feel like when you make a short and then you make a feature 18 years later, not when, I mean, it's sort of if really, and quite a big if. But if you are doing that, then you go back and have a look at the short and work out which bits have to be salvaged from the short.
Right.
And that was always like a big laugh in the short. It's interesting that it's made it into the movie, I think, because it's not that realistic that someone would win the lottery twice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in there for sentimental reasons, I think. I think we all kind of waved it through.
I think that's right. But, the other thing I love about it as a moment is that it just says so much about Charles, that he presents that as a completely normal, almost kind of like boring detail. And he gets so excited about really like unimportant stuff that Herb couldn't care less about. And the one thing that's actually interesting about him, he's like, I did that,
right.
That's what I want to talk about. And it speaks quite a lot about Charles's personality, that his priorities are just completely upside down.
Absolutely. And it's such a wholesome moment too, knowing the grand scheme of the film. It's a really touching moment that you guys created there. And then last question I want to wrap up with. So in the script, did it ever say what Carey Mulligan's what Nell wrote on her lantern, or is that just something we're not supposed to know?
I think you can have a good guess to it. I think it's probably about her, her child and Michael, and the fact that she's going to be a mum soon. Yeah. I think that's probably what it's about. But I think the key thing is that Herb obviously thinks it's about him. Yeah, and the audience probably think it's about him as well. And I think that sort of nice kind of like rug pull where you realise that she was never really thinking about Herb that way.
Yeah,
and we were all sort of suckered in by Herb's kind of like mini fantasy.
As an audience member, that's what you want. You want them to work out, and it's like that just doesn't happen that way,
Yeah, but I think that's right. And a few people sort of said that they thought maybe Nell would be swimming back to the island at the end to be reunited with her. But I hope that people kind of get to the end of the film and realise that it's definitely for the best for everybody that they didn't get back together, and that actually, the film is really about actively not trying to kind of rehash the past and things that were good.
Yeah,
it's about kind of moving on from them.
I think if they get together, there's a decent amount of discussion about co-parenting in the final scene.
Right. For sure.
And that's the sequel.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And that scene, the swimming scene, where it's like, okay, you think we're gonna find out, and then it's even almost more gut-wrenching that it's Charles. We see what Charles wrote, and it's it's hard. It's hard.
It's funny, all of that, because so much of the story there is not in the dialogue. It's not in what the characters are saying, and it's real credit to Griff, the director, and also Quinn, the editor, that I feel like all of that moment it comes together so well, and the storytelling is so lovely and it's so poetic. But it's only when we got into the edit and we're watching it that we're like kind of no idea if that's gonna hold together, or if our story's gonna kind of come out of this. But yeah, they did such a fantastic job there.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was great reconnecting with you. I'm glad we could talk about this on an intimate level.
Cheers, Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. See you later.